Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber. This is Fiona Di Pinto at Drawings in a Drawer, and on here we discuss everything watercolour. So if that is something that might interest you, be sure to click that notification bell so you will know every time I upload a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about these super granulating watercolours by Schmincke, Glacier. What a mouthful that is. And it's a set of 3, and I decided to paint a portrait using these as a main part of my palette, or rather using these in my painting, because I will end up reaching for other colours as well, as you will see. Again, this was another art supply that I bought a while back, and I found it recently again at the back of a drawer, and I decided to test it out. It was quite expensive, I think it's €29. So I'm curious to see what the payoff is. My initial intention was to paint an illustration of the Snow Queen, like the original fairy tale, the Snow Queen. But I have so much on my plate this week with my workshop this weekend that I decided to go for something more impulsive and intuitive and postpone the Snow Queen illustration for later on. It's really hard to read the name of the colours on the tube. The font is so small, but they're Turquoise Glacier, Glacier Green and Glacier Black, and I think that the most granulating one is Glacier Green, so the one in the middle swatch. I can tell immediately that the colours are indeed super granulating, but I just wanted to make sure that they would work in a portrait, because granulating skin might not look too good. But this video is not only about these granulating Schmincke paints, it's also about the painting process and knowing when to wrap a painting up. Also, you will see that the footage is slightly more raw to show more of my hesitation while I'm painting, because I do hesitate a lot. I don't dive into a painting knowing exactly what I'm doing most of the time. I've also decided to be a little bit more relaxed about lighting with this one. You will see the light change. If it were for me, I would paint only at night. But because I like natural light, I try to avoid that as much as possible. But I did end up painting part of this in the evening, so you will also see that. It's a little bit of behind the scenes in a way. Though these paints are granulating, they work perfectly in a portrait. The granulation doesn't really show up that much, not to the level where you would not want to use them to paint skin, though I think that they would probably be wonderful for landscapes, icy landscapes. I love mixing reds and blues together, and I think that the Turquoise Glacier works really well with the cadmium red and the rose doré that I used for this painting. Not only do I like the way they look together on paper, I also like the way they blend together to create muted tones. Now, would I buy these paints again? Quite honestly, no, because of the price and because I have now finally realised that I always tend to gravitate towards the same paints. Also, limiting your palette is such a good strategy to improve your painting technique and to improve the way your paintings look that I try not to buy any more paints, even when I am tempted to. And I am changing attitude towards buying art supplies. I try to only buy what I really need. I have recently bought one of those tiny palettes that you can clip to your sketchbook, but that's only because I plan on painting plein air when I visit England and Scotland this summer, so I might be doing a video about that in the next few weeks. And here is some footage of me painting in the evening with artificial lighting. You can see it shines off the wet part of the paper, which is definitely not very aesthetic when you're filming, but I thought that you could forgive me once in a while if I do this. Light reflections off wet paper are not the only problem. As you can see, cast shadows are also an issue when you're painting in the evening. There are two different phases in every painting. There's the ugly phase, which I always advise my students to push through because we encounter that stage so often in watercolour painting, at least as far as I know, because this is the medium that I have more experience in. So do push through the ugly phase. But there's also knowing when to wrap your painting up, when to call it a day and when to finish it off. Sometimes I start out a painting and I'm so in love with the result, and then I come to a point where I don't like it anymore. I'm starting to fall out of love with it. And that is very different from the ugly stage. In the ugly stage, you are somehow still engaged with the painting. You still feel the desire to go on, even if you don't like what you are looking at. Knowing when to wrap a painting up is not disliking the painting, but just not feeling joy when you're painting any longer. I thought I would talk about this in this video because I felt this way while I was painting this piece. I was so in love with it, and then I started adding the first bird, which I think is a stork, a red-headed stork or something like that. And then I thought that part of it looked empty, so I wanted to add the swallow, and it just started to get a little bit too much and I started to lose the joy. So I knew that I had to stop. And I might go in later at some point and put something else in the background, add something to the composition, make it more of a full spread, I don't know. But I decided that I needed to finish the painting for now, and it might stay as it is, as you will see it is by the end of the video, or it might end up having some extra element later on. Yes, so my advice is, if you don't feel the joy anymore, at the very least, set yourself a time limit and finish your painting off within that time limit, or step away from it and go back to it, or don't. The important thing when you're painting is to always have fun, to always keep enjoying it. If you don't, it means that you have to change something. So don't drag something out too long if you're not having fun. This said, I am saying goodbye for now. This is the end of the video. If you want to get tutorials, you can join my Patreon. The link is down below. And you can also subscribe to my newsletter, which you will also find down below. I have classes on Skillshare, and as usual, everything is in the description box. I will see you next Sunday. Thank you so much for being here, and bye for now.